Hey guys, FPS Master here with another video.
I am Spooks.
And today we're about to read horror stories. Number one, I'm going to read.
This is Maria.
This is Mario by, I'm not going to say.
Library and Annie again.
My husband and I live in a small,
Uncorporated
town
on the outskirts of
a big city. Through where we're almost 50 years old, we are 30 to 40 years younger than any of our near neighbors. Most of them have grandchildren who visit nearly and drive them wherever they need to go. Not so far. They mainly I usually just call Professor. I can't use this. Sorry. His wife, Elena, died 12 years ago. I only knew her briefly, but she and the Professor were one of those life goals kind of couples I loved. Spending time with them were both so interesting and witty, and Clinton still deeply in love. Ellen's passing hit her husband hard for the last year. He had been battling cancer with no bus server in her rural area, and cabins for the town exceptional long wait, ending up in a drive him to doctors. The Professor had been in the USA since the 20s until rating a charmingly forgotten accident. My name he prouds as AWNE. Auta. Usual when he phoned me, he was a good afternoon, Anna. Sometimes we would call in the hours in pain, add only gasp, Anna. We would drop the phone and ran to his house to help him with his meds or take him to the city emergency room. He was adamant not staying away from home. He knew the end was near and he wanted to go in his own bed. On October 1st, almost 4 a.m., my cell phone rang, showing the Professor number. When I was answered, a strange voice asked, Anna. Yes, I answered. No, the voice giggled. This is Mary. I was talking him. I'm taking him tonight. When I woke up, I was still up in bed, sitting up in bed with the phone in my hand. My husband and our dog were sleeping soundly. The phone had really rang, or had it started to call the Professor. But if he was managing to get some sleep, didn't want to disturb him. So I was going up, dressed quietly, and the dog and I slipped out the backyard. I couldn't see the Professor house from there. No lights were on and everything was quiet. I wasn't comfortable, so I wasn't ahead and dialed 25 rings, no answer. Damn, I knew then I was back in the woke. My husband we walked to the house and nothing. We had the phone, the sheriffs, they broke into the Professor's house, had died. Emergency.
Professor had died.
Had died. Seemingly peaceful in the bed because of our uncorporated location. Any of the choices would fall to Professors in a Uber, in a right here.
In a deputy's supervision.
In the deputy supervision, the families on our block began to sort through the professor's papers. We needed the deed to his bird pilot and any kind of well or thing to distant relationships. I looked through a small scrapbook for all photos that were in his nightstand. There was no
cousin
Marco from the old country or
nephew Bob and
nephew Bob.
1997.
It was mostly pictures of Ellen and Professor, and they never spoke of a young daughter, Mary, who had died in 1971.
And now it is Spooks' turn. That's My Window by Margarita Atwood. When I was little, it was my mom and I in this tiny house in a small town. I had a freakishly good memory, so I could clearly remember the layout of my tiny room, which was the laundry room for previous owners. It had a long and narrow, with just enough room for my crib against one wall, and a window high up on the other. Now, I've always hated windows at night. I wouldn't look out of them. I keep the curtains shut or run past them. My fear has always been that I look out and see a face staring back. After bad breakup in my early 20s, I moved back home with my mom, and after she observed this behavior, I told her my weird paranoia. She kind of laughed and proceeded to tell me that I was about 2. I would scream and scream. There was a man in my window. I had nightmares, so she didn't really think of much of it until one night. She came in to shut me up, and there he was, a fucking man, staring in the window. I looked at her like she was nuts. How could I have not known this? Then she continued to tell me that the man was the father of one of my really good friends growing up. He was known for peeping into single women's windows. She also didn't tell me that I had a binging heart murmur when the doctor discovered it. And once again, in my early 20s, that scared the shit out of me too. Thanks, Mom.
911 calling by Indian Joan. This took place when I was about 10 years old. My mom had rather quickly failed for divorce, but she had only had a part-time job and made a very little money. So finding a place to stay was affordable and available. Immediately was thought a friend for hers told her that she had a little mobile home that was currently sitting empty, and we can rent it practically for free until figured out something else. I immediately didn't like the house. Part of this I was sure was due to my parents' apart divorce and having my life turned upside down, but it was also just a house. Itself was lived a mountain town, and this mobile home was way up in a steps-mile longer driveway. Beautiful pine trees strong it by, but the house itself looked abandoned and out of the place. It had 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and so many brothers and I shared a room, and my mom took the bedroom with the attic was very 70s home with a wooden plank and a dated futurist. There was also areas that showered strain damaging, like holes in the wall that were valid patch up for whatever reason. I immediately refused to use the hallway bathroom. I wouldn't even sleep into my mom ever really asked her why or question it, but let us use her bathroom. Anyway, my mom was going a lot, trying to find wherever work she could, so I would be home alone a lot after school and on the weekends. Each time I received a 911 call was by myself. My mom always told us not to answer the door, but we should always answer the phone in case it was her. When the phone rang on one afternoon, I figure it would be my mom, since no one else really had a number. Yet there were a woman on the phone who sounded very concerned. "Oh, is this 911? Returning your call. We received the call, but we got disconnected," the woman said. I immediately got a sick feeling. I told her that I didn't not call 911, and she asked me if there were anyone else in the house who might have called. I said I was home alone, but I started to get really worried that maybe I wasn't. She said she wouldn't dispatch police into our address just to make sure everything was okay. At the point, I was terrified to be in the house, so I sat around nervous, waiting for the police. About 15 to 20 minutes, the officers asked me if I had called 911, and I said no, but they claimed I called them. The officer just sported and shrugged, and he said, "That's kind of thing, something happens, they say, but it can't, that the number can't get mixed up, but it happens." He didn't had a course glanced around the outside of the house and left. I tried to convince myself that the officer was right. It was just a mixed up phone call. And hopefully whoever did it actually called it, got it the help they needed. About a month later, the same thing happened. Was right. The officer was right. It just a mix-up. The phone call, hopefully, did actually call, got the help. Oh my God! About him for saying 911, they had received a phone call from my number. I told him again that it must be a mistake. The woman on the phone scolded me a bit, telling me that 911 was something to play around with, and I was preventing people from getting help. She didn't dispatch any police this time again. I was really worried someone was in the house, so I was cautious checking, made sure all the doors were still locked. I didn't know why, but I always kept the hallway bathroom door closed, maybe because of the eerie feeling I got from it.
As I was checking
I can't see. You moved it. I was checking the house. I just knew something was in that bathroom. I was terrified. Part of me felt like I need to open that door to check, maybe just to pervert myself wrong. But I was too afraid, so I just sat in the living room watching that door. It was so quiet in the house that after a few minutes I started to hear faint little sounds coming from inside, like a kind of shuffling noise. I asked my mom to check it out. The bathroom, when she got home, she quickly looked inside and made me to come look, that it was empty. I didn't know why, but I kept... I decided my mom was right, and I was probably just letting my mom imagination to get away. I decided to try leave the bathroom door open so I wouldn't get freaked out, but through that some was in there. Then I got the fear 911 call, a fifth 911 call. This time I thought, after I hung up, the phone was the dispatch. The bathroom door slammed shut. I ran all the way to our step driveway and found a place too late. Tell my mom pull up into the driveway. She arrived angrily with me for leaving the house, but she saw how upset I was. I think maybe she thought I was actually out to